Hey guys, today we're going to learn about finger crochet with t-shirt yarn. If you don't have t-shirt yarn, you should go check out my video on this channel or another video just how to make your own t-shirt yarn. And we're going to use our fingers to do this because I don't know that you'll have a hook. We're going to start off small, so you might make a rag or a pot holder, and then you can use the same technique to double up yarn and make your own rug, and you can see too that I've started here. So for this project, what you're going to need is some t-shirt yarn, some scissors, and your fingers. Simple, right? You're going to start with a slip knot, and to do this slip knot, you're going to take your tail in your hand and wrap the yarn around your finger 2 times. The back yarn is going to come over the front, and then the back yarn is going to come over the front. You're going to do that 2 times, and once you're done with that second one, it's going to slide off. When you tighten it, it will slide. That's why it's called a slip knot. And you're going to make that knot, that loop, a little bit bigger than your finger. It needs to be able to slide easily on and off your finger. So I find that bigger is better because I tend to crochet really tight, and so I'm going to loosen it a little bit extra. And then what you're going to do is you're going to wrap around your pointer finger and then slide that back loop off. This is called chaining. That back loop is going to go over the front loop that you just wrapped, and you're going to keep going. You're going to wrap, and then you're going to slide that back loop over that front loop. Remember that you don't want to pull too tight here. We want to keep this loose because this is the bottom of whatever we're working on, whatever piece we're making. And so we don't want to pull too tight because we're going to have to work in these chains later. And we're going to chain however many stitches long we want our work to be. In this case, I'm making a wash rag, and so I'm going to do about 8 or 9 stitches, and then at the very end 8 or 9 chains, and then you're going to add 2 more because I'll show you what I mean. So I'm going to go the length that I want my wash rag, and then I'm going to add 2 more. So once I'm happy with the size of my chain, I'm going to spin my work around, and I'm going to put my loop on my right side because I'm right-handed. And there's 2 sides of this. One has some V's, the other has some hills. And we're going to be working in those hills because we want the V's to show at the bottom. And so I'm going to work in those hills that I'm pointing at now. The very first stitch, so before you were chaining, now you're going to be stitching. Your very first stitch is going to go in the second hill. You're going to skip that first hill because it's attached to your chain that you're in. So you're going to skip the first hill, you're going to go into the second hill, and then you're going to reach through with your finger, wrap it around. I'm going to show you again. You're going to go into that second hill with your finger. You're going to reach through, wrap your yarn around, and then grab that loop and come out of the hill. Now you have 2 loops. You're going to wrap it around your finger, and then you're going to slide both loops over that piece of yarn, over that stitch. And that was your first stitch. Now I'm going to go into the next hill. I'm going to slide my finger in, wrap it around my finger, come out of the hill, and then I'm going to wrap again, and those 2 loops that are on my finger are both going to go over that wrap. So you're going to slide your finger in the next hill, wrap, come out of the hill, and then wrap it again, and you're going to slide both of those loops that were on your finger off. This is called a single crochet. You're going to repeat the single crochet in every single hill. Make sure that your bottom stays turned so that your heels are up and that your V's are looking down at the table. You're going to repeat the pattern in every hill. So find the hill, slide your finger in, wrap around, come out of the hill, and then wrap again, and then slide off your 2 loops. A single crochet, you're working your way all the way to the end of the piece. Now you can see I'm going to slow down every single time that I go to find that heel and make sure that I'm going in the back side of that chain. And so I'm going to go all the way to the end, And then once I get to the end, I'm going to slow it down so you guys can see what I'm doing. I've got my last crochet, and just like the others, I'm going to go in, wrap around, come out of that heel, and then wrap again, and then both of those loops are going to go off of my finger, keeping the one that I wrapped. Now we're going to go up a row, so you need to chain on one to get to go up a row. This is a single crochet, I only need to add one chain. And then I'm going to flip my work and I'm going to work from the other side. Now it gets easier, I promise. So you're going to look at the top of your work and you can see that there are some V's, just like on the bottom of your work there were V's. And we're going to work under that first V. There's going to be like a hole in my work. So I'm going to slide my finger in that hole under that V, pick up both those two pieces. I'm going to wrap my finger around and then slide it back off with that loop on there. Now I have two loops. I'm going to wrap and then slide both loops off. Let's do it again. You're going to find that next V, slide your finger in that hole, wrap, slide it out, grabbing that loop, wrap again, and then slide both loops off. You're going to find the next V, pick those up, slide your finger in that hole, wrap, grab your loop, wrap again, and slide both loops off. You're going to work your way again all the way to the end. Now at the very end, I want you to pause to make sure that you're grabbing that last stitch. So this is my second to last stitch. I'm going to grab that one, flip it out, and then crochet it. And in the very end, there's going to be one that kind of leans in, and you can see this little loop leans in. So he is my last stitch. If you forget him, your bottom will be longer than your top, and you'll start to see if you skip a stitch. But I don't want to skip him, so I'm going to crochet him, and then I need to chain up one. Now I need to add on some yarn, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to just take my two pieces together. I'm going to wrap them around my finger, and then I'm going to make a little loop and slide those two ends through the loop, and then I'm going to tighten really, really well because I don't want this to come off. I can add on this way, and then I'll show you another way to add on yarn in a second. Now that I've got more yarn, I'm ready to go back the other way. I'm going to find that first hole, slide it through, and I'm going to crochet. I'm going to go all the way across, and then when we get to the next end, I'll pause it again to show you what it looks like. So I'm in my second to last stitch. I'm going to go ahead and crochet this one off, and now I've got to deal with that end again. So I'm going to find my my loop that makes my V, that's like hanging over. He kind of bends outward. I'm going to pick him up, and that's my hole that I'm going to go in under him. So I'm going to go under, wrap around, grab my loop, and then I'm going to wrap again, and I've got to chain up one because this is the end, right? We're going up, so I need to chain up one, and I'm ready to flip and keep going with my crochet. Now I am at a point where I've run out of yarn again, so I told you I would show you another way to add on yarn, and all you need to do is make a little slit in both ends of your yarn. And so if you don't want to tie on, you can do it this way. You're going to take the new yarn, slide it through the little slit at the end. This is also in my video on this channel about how to make your own yarn. And the tail of the purple is going to slide through itself. And what it does is it makes a loop around the slit in the other color of yarn. And now all I have to do is continue with my work. I'm going to continue crocheting all the way back, and it's just going to put a little color in there. You could keep going with the same color, you could add new colors, you could tie on like I showed you at the beginning, but either way you can just keep adding to your work, your piece. Now you can see that I just messed up, and so I couldn't figure out where my stitch was, or I couldn't figure out if I had skipped one. So all I did was pull it back out and go back to a point where I knew I could start again. It's really good to learn how to fix your own mistakes, because then you'll start to understand just how the stitches fit together, and you will become a better crocheter from that. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to work all the way to the end, and it's going to create a washcloth. And you can see that the shape is taking hold right now, and I'm going to show you how to finish up your stitches once your washcloth is complete. So I'm at the very end of my washcloth. You can see that I had to add on some more yarn, but I'm going to crochet that final stitch, and I'm not going to chain up this time because I'm not going up anymore. I'm going to leave my loop, I'm going to cut a tail, and then I'm going to slide the tail back through that loop. It's going to hold my my yarn in place, and then I need to weave that tail in so that it doesn't come out. And so I'm on my last row. I'm going to yarn up one, I'm going to chain up one, and then I'm going to go and finish crocheting this row. Now when I get to the end, I'm going to leave a tail, and I'm going to show you how to weave that tail back in so that you don't really see it and so that it doesn't come out. And so I'm close to my last stitch. You see that's the second to last, and then the last stitch. And I'm going to make my stitch there, and then I'm going to pull that loop out kind of big so it doesn't go away, and use some scissors to cut. Once I've got that tail, I'm going to slide that back through my loop and then just tighten it down. And then I need to weave that tail back in, and so I'm going to go down one row, and you can see that there are kind of these upside down V's, and I'm going to pick each of those up and slide it through. I'm going to work my way across about 4 of these stitches, sliding that tail through, and then once I get to that 4th one, I am going to turn and come back the other way. So on that last diagonal of the V, I'm going to go around that stitch. I'm going to go around it, and then I'm going to come back through the exact way I came. And it's going to catch right there. And then you can just follow your path back out. At the very end, I'm going to trim it up, and you are done. You'll do the other side if you left your tail out. There's other ways to weave it in, but I think this is the easiest and the most inconspicuous way. Now I'm going to take a few minutes just to kind of trim up any of the knots if they're sticking out too much. And I wanted to tell you that you can, the exact same way that you did this, you can hold 2 pieces of yarn together and create something bigger or thicker, like a rug like this. I hope you enjoyed learning how to finger crochet. I would love to see what you make.